the scoring champ from the top against Marion. Durant, pull-up jumper, up the rim, and
Limitless Range.
This is the Limitless Range podcast. I am your host, Corey Chandler, and as always, I'm joined by our co-host, Petey Podlow. We also got our first guest in the room, Dan Morris. As always, you can go to our website, limitlessrangepodcast.com, or you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at @1limitlessrange. Our first guest in the room, we had a guest a few weeks back from Dallas, but this is the first time we got somebody sitting in the room, a buddy of ours that we've talked about on the podcast a few times. Our boy Dan Morris, man. What's going on, Dan?
Hey,
Easy in the house.
what's up,
Easy.
guys? Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on the show here, and I just want to talk to your listeners just real quick. I want to talk about Corey and Petey here. Smartest guys I know, most passionate guys I know when it comes to NBA basketball. So it is a privilege to be on what I'd call the hottest NBA podcast going today.
Damn.
Man, I appreciate that, DZ. That's what's up, man. You know, as we've talked about a little bit in some of our past podcasts, Dan is, in that fantasy league that we talk about quite often that Pete, and producer Dougie are also in. And just a little quick story about Dan. The first year I played, I joined the league, we're in a keepers league, and Dan hustled me a little bit. I was, new to fantasy, and I'm like, oh, Nicholas Batum's the best. And I had Bradley Beal on my roster that I took over in the 13th round, and Dan was smart enough to grab it there. And then me and Dan kind of created a little bit of a battle, and we kind of became rivals. Yeah, I'd call it a rivalry. And that year we actually played each other in the playoffs. We made a bet. He's a big Seahawks fan. I'm a big Niners fan, and so we made a bet that someone was gonna have to wear a hat of the opposing team if we lost. And Dan smacked me up, man. And so it started a great rivalry. I had to wear a Seahawks beanie to the next year's draft. It looked just like this one. Yeah, Dan's got a Seahawks beanie here in the studio here, but the same, right back to Dan. I know Pete feels the same way. Dan's one of those guys that's got, honestly, I'd call it limitless range when it comes to just sports knowledge in general.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I've known him forever, and he's the only one that I feel like can beat me in a sports trivia battle. Like I would be scared to go against him.
For sure.
You ever watch that show Stump the Schwab? Like Dan is that guy to me. Like he's the guy you take who knows all the crazy questions that nobody else knows, can name the colleges they went to.
Yeah, he knows the history behind a lot of it too, which is cool. And he's gonna bring, me and Pete always talk about, we kind of just shoot from the hip a little bit. He's kind of got the statistical kind of background of things. He's got the history behind, some of these teams and some of these players and stuff, which is gonna be really cool. So we're super excited to have him on. We got a fun podcast going on today. Obviously, we got our trivia question coming up. We've been doing this rant of the week thing that we're excited about. So we got a rant coming up, and then, we're halfway through the year. We now know kind of what the rookies are looking like so far, at least earlier in their careers. And so we're going to do kind of a redraft of the 2018 NBA draft. This is the first 10 there. So that's going to be sweet.
With DZ joining us on that.
Yeah. Yep. All three of us. So that's going to be fun. Let's give you guys the trivia question early this time. We've kind of been waiting to the end, forcing our listeners to, get all the way to the end of the podcast before getting it. Let's reward them and give it to them early. So, obviously we're going to talk a little bit about the All-Star votes today as well. And so MVP of the 1989 All-Star game. That's kind of a cool one.
Yeah, I like it.
Give us the MVP. Yeah, producer Dougie on that. The MVP of the 1989 All-Star game. Hit us up as always, Twitter, Instagram, however you guys have been getting it to us.
I didn't know
Get
it.
your name in the jersey. I didn't know it either.
So
DZ figured it out. As we talk about the history, DZ was able to figure it out.
Took me a couple guesses.
It took him a couple guesses, but he got it. Yep.
No, he got it. Didn't we have I think we had a caller, right? We had a call in last week. We gave an opportunity for double raffle tickets if you called in and gave it your answer on there.
Yep.
And we had an interesting caller that we'd like to play and kind of discuss a little bit about what he had to say.
I'm also kind of curious if soon I could get a breakdown of, the Pelicans in New Orleans, because I just don't understand what is going on with them. I mean, you got AB, the one-man unit, trying to carry a team that's just too goddamn heavy for him to carry.
What was that guy's name?
It was Bobby.
Bobby. Wow, Bobby, we appreciate that call, man. And I think we can do that. It's cool. We got DZ in the house here DZ's a longtime Supersonics fan, and now not a team in Seattle right now. So he's kind of become a pretty big AD fan over the last couple of years. DZ, you want to kind of break this down? What you think's going on down there?
I mean, hey, Bobby, I feel your pain here. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I can run an NBA franchise. But even I know that you don't go and be trading assets like a Buddy Hield for a DeMarcus Cousins and then not even bring him back on the cheap. I mean, maybe not as cheap as the Warriors got him.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
But I mean, you don't even make this guy a respectable offer. Then you let Rajon Rondo walk in the offseason. I mean, they're just begging for Anthony Davis to say goodbye. And I don't know how else to save this franchise in New Orleans.
Yeah, that's tough, man. What do you think, P? You got anything else to add to this?
I mean,
that's tough.
Man, I love what Dan said. I mean, he took some of that out of my mouth. Then he spit knowledge, and I agree with everything he's saying. And, one thing about Rondo that probably doesn't get appreciated is he spends all those hours watching film. Who do you think he brings it back to? His teammates. They were ranked. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I remember they were a top ranked defense last year. And the last I heard, it was a couple games ago I was watching, they were 27th in defense.
Right.
But how are you 27th in defense with Drew Holiday and Anthony Davis, two All-NBA first defenders? I mean, how many teams can say they got two?
Yeah.
So how are you 27th in defense? That doesn't make any sense. And I think a lot of it's losing Rondo, man. He studied the film, broke down teams' weaknesses, told them how to attack. How they attacked your Blazers was a big reason the coaches said that Rondo watched all the film on them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe he's the one that saw weaknesses in your Blazers in that playoff series, which helped them sweep. You know what I mean? And then right now, if they played the Blazers, you saw what happened. They got their ass whooped. They ain't sweeping them. Who's missing? Rondo. So, I mean, I'm with Dan on that. Rondo's big.
Just one more point I just want to make. These teams, they take these big stars that are loyal for granted. Mm-hmm. Anthony Davis is never going to leave. I appreciate the fact that you brought in Julius Randle, a Mirotic last season. But you got to give this guy more. He wants to compete. I mean, he's getting compared as one of the best players in the league. And he needs those ships. He needs those big pushes in the playoffs to really cement his name in the NBA.
Yeah, no, I think you guys said it perfectly. I don't appreciate you bringing up the Blazers 3 or 4 times in your rant there, Pete. You could have listed, limited that to 1. But, yeah, man, in all honesty, the Blazers got smacked last year. And like you said, playoff Rondo and the film studies he does and the things that Drew did against Dame and those boys, it was impressive. And so to me, to see them regress from getting there, they knocked off a 3 seed, not just knocked us off, but they swept us, like you said. And to see them regress from that, I know Mirotic has been out a little bit, so I think – Bobby, probably part of the problem has been, them not being able to stretch the floor as much when Mirotic is in. That's big. I know he's missed some time. Randall's been nice and things, but just as these guys said, man, the pieces that they lost, they're kind of just, like DZ said, they're kind of just opening the door for AD to walk, and you're seeing a lot of it, where's he going to end up? A lot of it might be in LA, this and that, and I'll tell you what, Bobby, he might be carrying the entire team, but you lose AD and good night. So you can come be a Blazer fan if you want. I know that's going to be tough for you guys, but man, I hope he's loyal like the team's hoping he's going to be. But like DZ said, you can't blame a dude for jumping off the ship on that one.
Let me ask you guys a question, just a quick answer. Where does AD rank in top players in the NBA? If you had to take, where are you taking AD?
He's top 2 to me. He's top 2.
What about you?
Yeah, he's 2 or 3.
All right, I had him at 2 behind KD. I'm going to say this. I'm starting to change my view because it's like he's the best big man in the game, right? And we could right now say he has more talent than James Harden has around him. But why is it James Harden can carry a bunch of no-namers? It's the game's just about guards now, right?
Well,
it's crazy.
It's a system,
No,
too.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's so hard. Like, it's hard to put a guy number 2 when he can't carry Randall, Mirotic, and Drew Holiday. You know what I mean? It's making me like, wow, how am I supposed to draft an organization here? Because this is, you guys know how much I love AD. I have him at 2, and it's really making me second guess the way I feel about things because it's like I'm watching Harden do it, and it is system and all that stuff. But it's like, come on, man, Anthony Davis, you got to carry these guys.
Well, I think, like you said, it is a guards game in a way because, I mean, you guys we talk about this a lot, Pete. I know you're huge on this, but spacing. Harden's got the spacing around him, and so Harden's able to, better coaching. Just the system fits for Harden to be able to do whatever he wants. Where AD, it's tough. If you don't have guys that are stretching the floor, they can come down, they can poke on him. It's harder for a big, I feel like, to go to work when you don't have a ton of guys surrounding you. When you have a bunch of shooters around Harden, he's able to just have all this space to go to work. I don't think AD has that. So
it's going to get tougher for the Pelicans too, because AD is probably going to miss about 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's a good point.
With a recent injury.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Bobby, thanks for the call-in, man.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, if anybody, this is what we're looking for,
I like
right?
that guy.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is what we're looking for on this podcast. We want people to call in. We want people to ask questions about their teams. And, Bobby, listen to the show again and call us in again and let us know what you thought about the breakdown, man. We appreciate that. Let's jump into the rant of the week. We got 3 dudes now in here, so producer Dougie doesn't have a mic.
Thank God. I mean,
damn, Pete going at him. So I'll give us what the rant is going to be about, and then I'll let these guys break it off for us a little bit.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're gonna hear about it.
As more All-Star votes have returned, we're looking and seeing some interesting names, up at the top of the list. What do you guys think about the way that the All-Star votes go? You're seeing Derrick Rose up there. You're seeing questions about Doncic, being higher than KD and these kind of things in these votes. What do you guys think about the players' votes and how it works out?
You know what, man? Honestly, I just think it's a joke. Like, seriously, I don't even take it serious. Like, I see KD's 4th, it doesn't even bother me. I think the All-Star vote, the system, and everything's just a joke. Like, I don't even respect it. Seriously. I mean, we're talking about the best player on the planet. You guys, I showed you guys those shot charts the other day. Did the dude have any cold spots on the entire court? It's just red all over, okay? And dude's 4th in voting? Like, come on, man. I don't even want to look at it. It's just a joke. That's how I feel, man. I love Doncic, but come on. Over KD? Stop.
I want to jump in here real quick on this, because I'm a little fired up. I'm maybe more fired up than Petey Pablo.
Good.
I can't bring it like Petey Pablo did last week with the LeBron rant. But come on, guys. What are we doing here? Come on, fans. We have a chance in the West to possibly have the 3 greatest players in the game playing on the front court for the Western Conference. And we're blowing it. And you know what? Not only you guys have only got one guy of those 3 on there. First you got Doncic, and then you got Paul George. You don't have KD, you don't have AD. All 3 of those guys could be starting now for the West, and you guys refuse to vote him in. Now let's get to Luka Doncic. Oh, I love this story. He's a rookie. He's from overseas. He's been a professional since he was 12 years old.
Damn, that was good.
Beautiful story, but let's talk about what we've always talked about when we talk about All-Star snubs. Why did this guy not make the All-Star team? Oh, because his team ain't winning. Is Luka winning games, guys? Because last time I checked, they're 20 and 25. Okay, and then we also talk about, you got to pay your dues. What season is this for Luka? What year is he in? Come on, guys. And first of all, why is this guy even in the front court? Who picks these guys? I know he's the so-called starting power forward for the Mavericks. But let's be real. He is a point guard, okay? So let's put him with the guards. Fans, please, I'm glad we got the players in the media that can fix this wrong. But come on, fans, please show some IQ. And let's get the right people in the All-Star game.
Oh, man. Derrick Rose, he's number 2, right?
I didn't know you wanted me to go all day, because I'm not even done. We got Dwayne Wade over in the East holding the 2 spot down, okay? When his days... When was he good? Like 5 years ago? I can't even remember the last time Dwayne Wade was good. Dang. Is the Gabrielle Union effect? I have no clue.
Hey, you know what? Her fans are probably voting for him.
That's
You're right.
true.
She
is bad.
She's hot.
How about you know who's hot? Kimba Walker with the step back. You know what else is pretty good?
Dang.
Zach LaVine. How about we give this guy a crack at the All-Star game? Why do we have to reward wheelchair Wade? I don't understand.
Yeah, that was good, dude.
That is sick, man. Dude, oh, man.
One of us might be losing our job here.
Dude,
what's going on?
Dude, that's a great rant, man. DZ, that was perfect. I don't have too much more to add. Obviously, from my end, I'm getting sick and tired of people, not voting for my dude, Dame Dollar. It's absolutely ridiculous that the dude's not getting in, right? Everybody's complaining about Klay Thompson and the shots he's taking, and Klay Thompson, I believe, is higher than Dame Dollar right now. Klay's been cold all season, basically started to heat up a little bit over the last few weeks, but he's been a cold-ass shooter. He's been one of the reasons that they say the Warriors haven't been winning. He's been cold.
That's true.
Dame Dollar is carrying that team year in and year out. I mean, he's got some pieces surrounding him. I love CJ, I love Nurk, and I love, Aminu, Harkless, some of these guys, Jake Layman, Seth, they've been nice off the bench, but it's like, bro, you guys don't pick Dame to make the playoffs ever.
And
he's always making the playoffs.
That's so true.
So it's like, how are you not going to reward a dude that you guys don't pick to make the playoffs, and then he finishes a 3 seed last year, and it's like, now he's not good enough to make the All-Star team. This year, we picked top 8. You guys are like, I don't think Dame's going to make the playoffs again this year. He makes the playoffs again. It looks like, what is he, a 4 seed right now? And we're not even going to put him in votes. And part of that is, dude, we got to get on Portland, man. I love you guys. You're one of my favorite cities. I love going to Portland. I try to go as often as I can. What do I got to go down there with some paper signs protesting this thing for you guys to pay attention? I mean, we tweeted out the other day, do we need Donald Trump to say Dame shouldn't be an All-Star for you guys to flip the F out and put him in the All-Star game? I mean, what's going on over there? It's ridiculous. So, I mean, man, I'm tired of it, dude. I don't like the way that it's set up. I don't know what a solution is for it, but I just don't feel like this should be the way that guys get to start in the All-Star game. If Luka Doncic, like DZ's saying, is starting the All-Star game, that's ridiculous. We got to change something.
Well, I mean, luckily the players, the media have the chance to write this, but we just want
they can help it out.
The fans to show some IQ. That's it. That's all we want.
Yeah.
Show some IQ.
We talked about the All-Star votes. I just want a quick second rant. I want these guys' opinions. What do you guys feel about dudes just sitting out games? I know it's not all on the player. He probably doesn't choose when he sits out. A lot of it's on the organization. Maybe I'm just biased because I have this dude on my fantasy team and he kills me. How in the world can you get paid that much money to do your job and you get to sit out crazy amount of games? We're talking about Kawhi Leonard. I just don't understand. I get that he was injured last year, but man, I look at Embiid, who they've been protective over him over the last few years, right? They're like, we got to keep him healthy, this and that. Let's sit him out here and there. He's questionable like every week, and he plays through it. I don't think I've seen a time this year where Kawhi's hamstring or anything has been bothering him, where they've been like, he's kind of sore. It's going to be day to day. Every time it's just rest. I'm sick of these guys resting. And then I look, I'm like, all right, I'm going to get him on a Saturday. He rested his back-to-back, whatever. You guys are going to continue being soft with him. He rests the other day, now he's resting again? What do you guys feel about this,
You gonna jump in on this one?
Pete,
you go first.
I don't want to talk about all the players. I mean, it sucks for the fans. Bigger picture is most important to me, but I want to talk about Kawhi mostly. If you're Toronto, you do whatever the fuck you have to do to make that guy stay in Toronto. I don't care if he wants to take a day off, if he wants to go sit in the sofa and relax. Corey, I understand. It's killing the fantasy team. It's killing... we want to see... I mean, fans want to see Kawhi out there. Fans want to see Kawhi checking KD. They want to see Kawhi checking Giannis, the best players in the league. But if you're Toronto, you can't fuck this up. You already traded away one of your franchise players. If Kawhi goes away, Toronto goes away.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Let me play off that, because honestly, I was thinking, man, we think alike. We think alike. Because what I was going to say was, hey, you know what Toronto's probably doing? They're just trying to pull the opposite of what San Antonio did. They're like, they worked you too hard? Oh, okay, baby, you got a day off. They probably got like a massage therapist in the back, rubbing them up. Like, you all right there? I'm telling you, bro. He's getting shoulder rubs, back rubs. They're like, how many days off you want, buddy? Please stay in Toronto.
No, I think
how it's going, bro.
I think you guys are making great. I think you guys are making great points. I definitely don't fully blame just Toronto for doing this. Obviously, I'm biased towards Kawhi right now, so he's the guy that's sticking to me. But like you said, about the fans going to games, you pay money to go watch these guys. Has this been something in the league, DZ? I know you know the history a little bit more than I do about the league. Has this been something in the league for a while? Did guys sit out back in the day? I don't remember when I was a kid watching teams and like Kobe sat out once every 3 weeks because he needed rest. Did that happen?
I mean, this is nothing I remember. I know this was like a pop thing a few years back, which is ironic.
Right, that is ironic.
But I mean, mean, no. People wanted to compete. You know, they wanted to play every game. And we all know the new generation. They're softer. Yeah. That's just the world we live in now, Corey.
That's yeah. I guess that's a good point, man. I guess I just miss it, man. I miss the competitiveness. I miss I got a sprained ankle, but I'm playing anyways. I miss those days of dudes just going out there and grinding no matter what's going on. I don't know if we need to shrink the season a little bit, but to me, you shouldn't be able to sit out 15 games in a season just for rest purposes.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I mean, it's not fair to the fans who paid the good money to go see that player. You know, didn't we have a friend that went to a game to see his favorite player? The dude didn't even play.
Rondo.
Think about
it was
that.
Trey.
It was Rondo and Trey, yeah.
I think he paid like $450 to sit almost courtside for Rondo.
Now think about that. And he sat out because of rest purposes?
Well, was he wearing a nice tux?
Right, at least you get to see him.
So, I mean, it's just the way they have it set up right now is it's really sad. I'm not really a fan of it. Players sitting out, you know, remember when LeBron was doing that? He was just taking days off. You know, I think that's when he got a lot of flack for it, and then people were like, "Oh, they only say something to LeBron. Everybody else can do it."
One more thing, it's really interesting. If you're a fan of that team, you obviously got to be a bigger picture guy, right? I mean, like you're looking for success in the playoffs. So I mean, it's tough, man. It's tough. It's really a catch-20, 2020 on that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I guess, if there's any Toronto fans out there that are listening or any fans of a team that sits guys, I'm curious, a Spurs fan or whatnot. Like DZ said, obviously your goal is to make it to a championship and be productive in the playoffs. Hit us up with your thoughts. Are you in Toronto? Are you trying to go to games? Do you get upset seeing Kawhi sit out this much? Would you like to see him more? Or are you just cool with them doing whatever it needs to take? All right, let's jump into the main segment here, redrafting the 2018 draft. We've seen this rookie class now for over half a season. And basically, fellas, if we could go back in NBA history here, and I guess it'd only be, 8 months ago, but and change the way that these teams picks. Have you seen this? If you get to be the GM for each of these teams after seeing half the season, you get to make the pick in their spot. We'll go one by one, just kind of go around the round table here and pick who you would have picked there and, give us some reasons why. I'll start it off if you guys are cool with that.
Yeah, go for it, brother. All
right, man. At number one, I'm going with the same pick that the Phoenix Suns already took. I'm taking Ayton at number one. I just feel like the kid's a beast. I feel like in this day and age, a kid... bigs seem to be rare, and I feel like he's been compared to Rudy Gobert in the past, but at the same time I feel like he can stretch the floor so he can do some of the things that we hope for bigs in this day and age. And he's a local kid too, which I thought was cool. He ended up growing up in the Bahamas. I saw a cool story on him, worked for $100 to get into a summer camp, didn't start playing ball until he was 12, which I thought was really cool. Then came to America, went to San Diego, but then actually went to high school in Phoenix. So I thought it was kind of cool, a Phoenix kid, then he's a University of Arizona kid, and just kind of staying local. And obviously, his stats are dope, 16.5 points a game, 10.7 rebounds per game. He's averaging a block. He's shooting 59%. And then, his free throw percentage is nice at 74%. And then a stat that you brought up a few weeks ago that I'm now starting to look into is win shares. And out of all the rookies, he had the highest win share at 4.5, which I thought that was dope. And then to me, it was between him and Doncic, right? We have a lot of talk about Doncic and the hype and the Hallelujah and all that stuff going on. But I just felt like for Phoenix, he's a better fit. With Devin Booker, I feel like Doncic is more of a guy that wants the ball in his hands. He wants to be the playmaker and things like that. I felt like for Phoenix, for Booker and the team that they have, I felt like Ayton was the right pick at one. Dan, if I shoot it over to you, what do you think?
Yeah,
who you got at one?
Yeah, I agree with you. What has he done to not warrant the top pick? He, like you mentioned, all the stats. He's seventh in the league in field goal percentage, very efficient. And the one thing I like about him, he eventually, right now he's only averaging 1 block per game, but we know this guy is going to be able to protect that rim. And, what this guy does for a team like Phoenix is, like sharpshooters on offense, they space the floor. Well, on defense, he allows your guards to get up into their player they're guarding because they know they got DeAndre Ayton has their back. Blocking shots. And I like how they're kind of like, handling them with kid gloves because they're not going to win right now.
Right.
Okay. So, and you mentioned Doncic is a possibility for this pick right here. I like the fact they went Ayton here because if they have Doncic, they're probably winning some games right now. You don't want to miss out on this draft coming up here. You want to get into that top 3. There's a lot of good players coming out. I'd rather have Ayton and one of those top players than Doncic and maybe in the middle of the pack of the first round.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, DZ. I like that. Pete, did you go the same with us or what, man? Who you got?
I'm the contrarian here, I guess. I went Doncic, and it was not even close to me. And I think Dan almost made my point for me when he, at the end there, he said, like, if you had Doncic right now, you'd be winning some games. Well, yeah, because he's a better player. So he's going to lead that team better. And if you believe that they're going to win some games, I'm just saying, like, that's huge, because it's like Doncic is a winner. I mean, the kid's a winner, man. And I know he's like practically a pro. Dan made a good point earlier. He was a pro since he's 12 years old. I mean, that worries me a little bit ceiling-wise because I'm like, I don't know if he's a fully finished product. I hope not. He's only 19. He's super young. But I just feel like in today's NBA, or in the old NBA, I would agree with you guys, man. Ayton would have been a no-brainer to me. But in today's NBA, like I said earlier, watching James Harden lead the Rockets, if we go look at AD's numbers, his numbers are nasty, but it's not equating to wins. And I just don't know. I just think the game is just a guards game now. And I'll take Doncic. He's got the scoring, the playmaking, the assist, the creative moves, and the biggest factor for me, the clutch gene. I mean, that's what the 3 of us have lived by forever. Like, we all just value that so much. And I mean, the dude's got the clutch gene. You can feel it when he's, hitting that step back 3 to tie it or win it. It's like, wow, man, this kid's got ice in his veins. He's just a winner.
Yeah, man, that's a dope point. Yeah. That's a dope point. You have a quick rebuttal at all, Dan, to his points?
I would just like to ask Pete, like, how do you think Doncic, Booker play together? And what I mean by this, ball dominant players, we're looking at Booker 31.9 usage this year. Doncic's at 28.8% usage. How do they complement each other in Phoenix?
That's a great question. But to me, Doncic, he's a player. And I think you've said this before. You take him no matter what, and you throw him in. It doesn't matter. He's that can't miss, must have player. So I'm with you. Fit wise, Ayton is a much better fit. But I just feel like he's a guy you cannot pass on no matter the situation. Similar to like what people are saying with Zion, like, pick Zion. I don't care, if you need a point guard and you're like, they're right. Saying like you pick Zion. That's how I feel about Doncic pretty much and I love Ayton. So I don't want to, I hate, it sounds like I'm bashing him, right. But I still like the guy a lot. And he plays more traditional the way I play basketball. So, I mean, like, I love the fundamentals of his game. It's just in today's NBA, it's so much harder to build around that than it is a player like Doncic. I feel like I would have a much easier time constructing a team that he could lead than I could with Ayton.
Oh, great points, man. Let's jump into to number 2. The second pick would have gone to, the Sacramento Kings here. This spot is where I took your boy Doncic. As you talked about, to me it was between the 2, and I don't think you could have gone wrong either way. But I went with the fit, just like DZ did, with Ayton at number 1. But I just felt like looking at what the Sacramento Kings are doing this year, I just felt like Doncic over there would have just been dope for them. I feel like the hype behind what the Kings are already doing with those young guys. You got Fox over there, you got Healed, you got even Willie Cauley-Stein playing nice. You got a bunch of young dudes that are living in the hype, and I feel like he would have just been a perfect fit. And you obviously look at what Doncic did, as you said, and DZ said he's been a pro since he's 12. I mean, his stats, 20.3 points per game for a rookie, that's insanity. And his step back, it's one of the nastier ones I've seen, dude. It's incredible. And like you said, the confidence from him is unbelievable. I think he would have had a good time jumping in with that young crowd down in Sacramento, and I think that would have been a great pick. Pete, what do you think, man? Who do you got number 2 then?
Hey, I actually, I'm not going to argue with anyone that has Doncic at 2, because obviously I think he's the best player in the draft, but I went with this kid, Triple J. I went with Jaren Jackson. And the reason for me, I've watched him more than I have other rookies, him and Doncic, because I do have them on my fantasy team. So there is some bias here, obviously. That's what it feels like. But I see the highest ceiling from Triple J. Out of all the players in this draft, I just feel like this kid has the highest ceiling. I feel like, and we talk about fantasy, right? I feel like he can be in every category guy. And those are rare. Those the KDs that he's going to cover points, rebounds, assists, blocks. Well, maybe not so much assists, but blocks, steals, field goal percentage, free throw percentage. He's got it all. And I just really want to see this game develop. Dan brought up kid gloves earlier. They're doing the same thing, even to a worse extent. The general manager said you only get to coach a rookie once, and they really want to teach him lessons. So whenever he makes a mistake or something, they're pulling him out. They're sitting him, punishing him. His minutes are at 25 minutes per game. Most of these top rookies are sitting at 31 to 33 minutes. So, that's a huge factor. I think his stats would look a lot different with those extra 8 minutes, and we might all have him a little bit higher. You know what I mean? But I love his game, man. The whole package. I'm just excited to see where he develops. What you got, DZ?
For sure.
Yeah, just before I get into this real quick, I just want the listeners to understand I'm not bitter about Doncic maybe getting in the All-Star game because of your votes. But he's dropping again in my draft here. And look, here's why. We saw him go to the Mavericks in real life, and we saw what that did to Dennis Smith Jr. It's pretty much made him an off guard. It's pretty much made him a non-existent in the offense. And now there's talks about him wanting out, unhappy with his situation there. Now you've wasted a number 9 pick from the previous draft. I don't want the same thing to happen here with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox is playing out of his mind at point guard. And obviously, if Doncic comes over there, he's going to come into that nicely. Triple J is a guy I definitely looked at here. Pete, I'm with you. I love this guy's defensive capabilities here. But I went offense here. I think, with the Kings drafting Willie Cauley-Stein, Skal, Labissiere. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Anyways, they've got the defensive bigs. They need someone to put on that block. They can go to work offensively, maybe even stretch the floor out with some pick and pop with De'Aaron Fox. That's why I went Bagley here. I think they made the right pick. And if you look at his per 36 minutes, as we know, he missed some games early in the year with a knee bruise, but he's averaging nearly 20 points a game per 36, 10 rebounds a game, 1.5 blocks per game. Those are great numbers. I think that number 2 pick, that's fine for me. I'll take Bagley here with the number 2 pick.
That's impressive, man.
Yeah,
That's good. The stat that Dan brought up is a great one for, fans and listeners to look at. That per 36 is important, because a lot of times we get caught up in these statistical situations where players aren't getting the minutes or the opportunity, like he said with Bagley. You might look at his stats and go, man, this guy's not doing anything. Why did they draft him this high? But you look at the per 36 like Dan brought up, and those are, are great statistical numbers.
It's the same with Triple J.
Yes.
We're on the same path with that.
Well, that's a great point. Okay, number 3 would have been to what? The Atlanta Hawks that ended up getting traded to Dallas, right?
Big mess up. Big mistake. Huge. Right here. Am I going first? Am I leading off?
I meant, oh shit, I read it wrong. Right?
No, sorry. I was talking about what Atlanta did.
Oh, okay. I was looking here. I'm like, did I read it wrong? I'm pretty sure I had it right.
Sorry, Corey. Sorry.
No, you're good. I was like,
no, that's awesome. You got to keep that, dude. All right.
I was like, did I read it wrong? I'm pretty sure that's who we got here.
Are you sure you didn't take that?
Right.
All right. Let's get back into this.
Okay. So yeah, let's jump into pick number 3. Would have been to the Atlanta Hawks. What do you think, DZ?
Hey, finally, guys. Finally, I'm getting the best player in the draft off the board. And look at this is a great situation here. We all know Trae Young cannot handle this role of being the main guy with a team with void of talent. I absolutely salivate at the idea of Luka Doncic running the pick and roll with John Collins, the guy who can actually smash at the rim. Luka Doncic would actually kill it with the Hawks. He would actually deserve an all-star spot if he was in the Eastern Conference. This is the pick right here. The Hawks do what they should have done. They take Luka Doncic and they don't trade him away.
Wow.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah, that's good. Pete, who do you got number 3 here?
All right, man. So I'm going to be realistic here. And the way that the draft is shaped up isn't the way that Atlanta wanted it to shape. So they're forced to take Ayton, even though that doesn't fit their system or whatever they're trying to do. I think that they get forced to take Ayton because Doncic is off the board, and no other player there, no guard to me is worth taking over Ayton. So they can't just let that guy pass. So I think they go Ayton, and I think he'd have a huge impact there. They still would have to draft a guard, but I think Ayton would kill it with some rebounds. He'd come and bring that presence in that everyone's talking about, and he would get a lot of burn there. 20 and 10. I think he's a no-brainer. The one thing I love about him is I feel like he has the safest floor. You're going to get 20 and 10 for this guy's career. You know what I mean? Right. So he's a can't-miss player. I don't see superstar in the future, but I definitely see consistent star.
Yeah. No, I like that. Those are both great picks. I went with your boy that you're jacked on, the Triple J here. I just going to Atlanta for me really isn't the best fit for him, so I'm still hopeful that maybe Memphis would have made the trade up and he still would have went to Memphis. I just feel like Memphis is a great spot for him, as you talked about, just with the style of play he has. With Conley and Gasol and the way that those boys play down there, I think they would have taught him and continue to teach him some great things. Where I feel like Atlanta, he might not have shined as much as he can in Memphis. I just feel like that's a great fit. So I was hopeful that Memphis would trade up, but he would still go at number 3. I saw some great comparisons as I was looking this guy up. And I know you've been a big fan of him, so I did even more research, and they were talking about KG, Anthony Davis, Rasheed Wallace, Pau Gasol, Serge, these types of dudes they're talking about. And they actually compared so far where he's at in his rookie season to some of these guys. And as you guys talked about with the per 36, I looked up his per 100 possessions. He's actually averaging 27.3 points compared to AD's 25.5 in his rookie year at this point. So he's averaging that, and then you go at blocks, right? We look at Anthony Davis as just a block machine, right? And in his rookie year at this point, per 100 possessions, Jaren Jackson's 7.6 to Anthony Davis's 5.1. So we look at where Anthony Davis is now. We obviously talked about him earlier, with the great call from Bobby. And I just feel like this kid can be there. I think, like you said, he's one of those dudes that he might have the highest ceiling. And the more research I'm doing on this dude, it's unbelievable some of the numbers that I'm looking up with the per 100 possessions. And I just think he's a great fit for Memphis. So I want him at number 3, but I would have liked to see Memphis still end up with him.
Yeah.
And then let's jump to Memphis. So at number 4, who do we have here? Pete, you want to shoot us your first number 4 here?
I'm going Bagley, So, I mean, Dan, said a bunch of good things about him earlier, and I couldn't agree more. Every time I watch this kid play, I see explosion. I see just athletic freak, great, touch around the rim. And I don't know, man. I feel like his ceiling is pretty good, too, and he could be a beast in this league. And, to learn from Gasol, that would be nice. Any big men that can learn from one of the best pick and roll, pick and popper, and defenders. You're learning from that guy. You're learning from, Conley, strong defensive minds. I feel like Bagley would have a lot of success over there in Memphis, being the heir apparent to that franchise.
No, it's a great one. Great minds think alike on this one. I went Marvin Bagley as well. I went ahead and switched the Memphis and Atlanta just for my draft, so I actually have him end up being in Atlanta. But as DZ said earlier, the kid's a stud. He's a freak athletically, and he's just not. He struggled with some injuries, so we're just not seeing the full potential. And those per 36 numbers that DZ brought up are nasty, man. I mean, this is a kind of kid that people might not be recognizing because they do just look at the stats. They log on and just go, let's look at Marvin Bagley's stats. What is this? Why is he only averaging this? But yeah, it's incredible, man. So I take him at number 4. DZ, who you got?
Well, Corey, you wanted Triple J in Memphis. You got Triple J in Memphis. Look at this
I like
guy.
it.
This guy is really exciting. I know I went chalk, pretty much the same thing the NBA teams did, but I mean these were the top 4 players in order. Triple J, he's gonna be that glue guy on your team. He's gonna be like Draymond Green from a few years back. He's going to be so huge for this team. And that's kind of Memphis's personality over the years, kind of gritty, low pace. You look at them, they're always at the bottom of the league in pace. So this plays right into his hands, and I just love his defensive abilities and upside in that aspect of his game.
Nice. I like it. He ended up in Memphis where I wanted him. I like that.
Right.
Jumping to number 5 now. So we got the Dallas Mavericks. Seeing number 5, we'll go ahead and lead it off. I got Mo Bamba, man. I got him at number 5 here. I like the kid. Another one of those guys that's not getting crazy amount of minutes. So we're not seeing his full potential. You know, the kid from Texas. Just that 7'9" wingspan, man. I feel like, you know, he can be compared to Rudy Gobert a little bit as well, and I just feel like with that length and the way that he can help stretch the floor a little bit, I just couldn't see anybody else in this spot that I would love more for Dallas. So, Dan, who'd you take?
I actually agree with you on this one, and it sucks. You stole my one stat, the 7. I actually got him listed at 7'10" wingspan.
Oh, you might be right.
Right there with. No, I'm not trying to correct you. But
No,
right
you're
there,
good.
Right there with Rudy Gobert. We all know what Rudy Gobert does for the Utah Jazz. He's a beast down there, and him working with DeAndre Jordan. You know, they could slowly implement him into the game plan. But a couple years in, this guy's ready to go. By all accounts, he has good shooting mechanics. I know his percentages are pretty nasty in limited time this year, but it sounds like he has the ability to make it right and get a little jump shot going for a guy that can play defense like that. That's out of this world.
Yeah, that wingspan's nasty, man. I'm with you. Pete, who'd you take?
I went with Wendell Carter. You know, something about this kid.
This is the real draft, not fantasy draft. No, just kidding.
I just
Shots fired.
I love how long and athletic he is, and now he can actually. You know, you guys said something about Bamba spacing the floor. I haven't watched him much. Does he hit the 3 ball?
Not at a high clip, but he did in college.
But he's trying to space it. Okay, that's cool.
He shot it in
Wendell
college.
Carter shoots it too, so I think he can do a little bit of everything. I love that fit, and then he can also play right now. You know, because with Bamba and Jordan, you know, they're going to be the same player practically. It's kind of like the situation over in Orlando. I feel like Vucevic is just in his way, you know, like even though Vucevic is balling out of his mind, he's playing like an all-star. It's like, how are you going to get this kid minutes, man? You're stunting his development, you know? It sucks. So I feel like Wendell Carter can play the 4. You know, even though he plays some center, you can move him around. He can guard the 3 through 5 pretty good. And I like his upside over there. You know, I think he's got a lot of promise in the future. I know he's injured right now, and Chicago's such a mess. Yeah. So it's really hard to tell what these young kids can do when you got dysfunctional organization going, you know.
At least they love their coach.
Yeah, right? For real.
That's huge.
So that's where I'm sitting with that.
Nice. I like it. Let me just shoot it right back to you, man. Let's roll around on number 6 to Orlando. Who do you got?
Oh, man. I got Alexander.
Yeah,
I like what he's been doing. I didn't see this coming from him. I mean, the kid's facilitating. I mean, they're not putting a lot of pressure on him. He's not playing heavy minutes. I haven't looked up his per 36, but I'm pretty sure they're off the charts. If one of you guys want to give that to me, if you have it, I don't know. But I mean, I'm looking at his numbers. They're pretty good. So for the amount of minutes he's playing, he would be the perfect fit. You're talking about a PG that can set up, you know, Aaron Gordon, set up Vucevic, run the show, pick and pop, pick and roll. I would be real excited to see what he could do over there in Orlando, leading that team as their floor general.
Yeah, no, it's a great one. DZ, who'd you grab?
I went point guard too. This team needs to fill that void. DJ Augustine's not a starting point guard in the NBA. Can we stop with this?
Right?
For real.
Okay, so
Jiminy Christmas.
I'm going with a guy that I definitely was not excited about when he got drafted. I wasn't excited about him going into the season. But after really digging in, guys, I like Colin Sexton.
Yeah?
I like this kid. He's got a quick first step. I think he can get to the rim. I think he's got, once he gets his NBA body, I think he has, as far as going to the rim, like a Dame Lillard type explosion to the rim. You look at it in Orlando, you got Vucevic spacing it. You got Aaron Gordon spacing it. You got Evan Fournier spacing it. Compared to what he's doing in Cleveland,
yeah.
I mean, we're talking about Larry Nance, Tristan Thompson. all up in his paint, dude. Can this guy get some space?
For real.
And another thing is, like, this guy can hit. This guy can shoot from the free throw line. So when he does get to that rim and he does get fouled, he's gonna make those points count. And another thing is that really surprised me. Out of all the Cleveland Cavaliers that have played the whole season on the team, he leads them in 3-point shooting. At 39% this year. No one saw that coming. I know.
That's impressive.
I know earlier in the year, some teammates came out, kind of knocked the kid a little bit, say he doesn't know how to play. Well, that's because you were playing with LeBron last year and getting carried. Colin Sexton can't do that yet. We talk about Dantes being 19 years old. The kid just turned 20 years old. Okay, he obviously has the physical tools. Let the game come to him. Let him get his body under him. And I think the sky's the limit for this kid.
Nice, man. Those are great points. I like the kid as well. But I went Trey Young here at 6 for similar reasons as DZ's talking about here with Colin Sexton. I feel like the point guard situation in Orlando is just a joke. We talked about earlier, you thought John Wall, might be a guy that could go to Orlando as someone they could grab. They just need a PG down here, man. And I just feel like, Trey Young shooting percentage, obviously, shooting less than 30% from 3 isn't nice. But I just feel like, he's young. I feel like he's going to improve at that. And I just feel like his pick and roll game with Voos and the guys that DZ talked about spreading the floor, I just feel like Trey Young has limitless range, man. I feel like he's another one of those dudes, as you'll see, he'll pull up from half court, which is probably why he's shooting less than 30%. Maybe he needs to slow it down with pulling from anywhere on the court, but it's just nice, man. It's a hard cover out of a pick and roll if a dude, can shoot from anywhere. And the kid's confidence is nasty, man. Obviously, he's ugly as hell, but, he's still got confidence, and to me, a dude that looks like that, but still walks around with confidence, like, if you look in the mirror and you're like, all right, I'm a good-looking dude, it's easy to walk around with confidence. But you look like that, and you're still like, dude, I'm the dude around
What's
here.
his girlfriend look like?
Yeah, right. But yeah, man. So I like him down there at Orlando. Let's see, who did we get at number 7 here? We got Chicago at number 7. That's me, I think, right?
Yep,
I'll lead it off here. I went with Wendell Carter. As much as I gave you some crap in fantasy for drafting him, I do like the kid. And just for the similar reasons as you did, he does stretch the floor, as you talked about, and it's tough, man. It's these situations we talk about it, just like Ayton in Phoenix, Wendell Carter here in Chicago. It's just hard to know what a dude is capable of when he's put in these situations, man. It's like you can't expect a dude to win games when you got that team surrounding him, and you got this drama, like you said, off the court, on the court, who's the coach, they don't like the coach, this and that. Like, how do you expect a rookie to come into a situation like that? If a rookie doesn't come into a great organization with a great coach with some leadership, it's tough for a rookie to develop. So I still like Wendell Carter down there. So I went with the same pick as that Chicago went with. Pete, who do you got number 7, my man?
Chicago, man, they're like jokes defensively, right? Teams are just scoring all over him. Clay, when he was struggling at his worst, still dropped 50-something on him. So I'm gonna go Bamba here, Mo Bamba, because I just feel like he'll finally have a spot where he's getting the minutes, like, geez, okay, no one's in his way. Put this kid in. Let's see what he can do with, 28 to 30 minutes a game. He's going to bring that paint presence, that defense, shot blocking. Now all the mistakes that Levine and Chris Dunn and everybody are making on the perimeter, guess what? They got help behind it. So I like Bamba to Chicago to make up for a lot of the mistakes from the young guards on Chicago, to make up for the poor defensive rotations. I feel like his impact would help that team tremendously.
I like it.
Yeah, so.
DZ?
What about you, Big Dan?
All right, well, Pete talked about combating the bad defense, trying to draft in that favor. Well, I don't have Mo Bamba on the board no more, so I can't fix their defensive problems. We're just going to try to outscore them right here. Okay, we're going to throw Trey Young into this team. Yeah, I know it's kind of an interesting, maybe an odd match for them. But I actually like this. Peel back some of that responsibility he's already trying to do in Atlanta. Let him play off ball. Let him come off screens. Let him come off the bench. Chris Dunn, Levine, make it like a 3-man rotation there at the guard, and just let's gun it. Let's go. Let's shoot some threes. Let's run the floor. Let's pick up the pace because our defense sucks. So let's get some shooting in there, and let's see if he can excel as the backup playmaker, and then maybe sometimes getting a key role as a shooter, off-ball shooter.
Interesting, man. That's an interesting take with that 3-man rotation. That would definitely be crazy to see with those three.
Moving on to number 8.
Oh, who we? Cleveland. I went with the same pick, or I guess it's not even my time. I'm trying to jump the gun here. DZ, let's let you lead off, man.
The back-to-backs. We all got one of them.
Okay, listen, Cleveland, this is tough. This is a tough spot for them. And, lost Kyrie, lost LeBron, Kevin Love. He's always in a wheelchair with Dwayne Wade. So, I mean, but listen, they have to resist the urge here. Quit trying to hit home runs right here. We saw this with Anthony Bennett. We saw this with Deion Waiters. Quit trying to hit those home runs. Go with the safe pick. We saw, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. You guys both already got him off. Pete's got him off the board here. Yeah. I think this is a safe pick. I mean, you're talking about a 6'6" point guard. He's going to be a tremendous defensive player. You can already see that. Hey, and guess what? Hey, for you, Kyle, he's a Kentucky player. I mean, what is the hit rate on Kentucky players? You can't go wrong. Take a Kentucky player if all else fails.
That's a great point.
Dang, I like it.
I like that too. Pete?
I got who they actually drafted. I put Colin here. A lot of the things that Dan said earlier, he's got that young bull, his nickname, mentality. I love his tenaciousness. The confidence is there. And these are important things for your point guard. You got to be confident. You got to be willing to be the guy to take the last shot, willing to be the guy to go to the paint and take that hit, take that shoulder. But, I do agree with Dan that the spacing is pretty garbage. But I think, they're hoping to lose a lot of games and maybe go after Zion. So, might be a nice 1-2 punch. Him and Zion running some pick and roll. That could be pretty nasty.
That sounds amazing.
So that's kind of like, that's kind of the scenario I see Cleveland trying to achieve there. Get their guard, hopefully land someone like Zion. And we all know, for some reason, when LeBron leaves, Cleveland always gets the first pick, man. I mean, they had it number 1 overall pick 3 out of 4 years or something like that. It was crazy. Crazy stretch of getting it. So,
well, you realize they do have to set it up for LeBron to come back.
Good point, dude.
They got to set it up. He gets 3 more first-round picks, and then he comes back, retires in Cleveland, wins one more championship.
Come back with little Bronny.
Come back with little Bronny. LeBronny gets drafted first overall pick. He comes back. The team's nasty. Zion, Bronny, Braun, Sexton. Damn.
Yeah, that's his baller too.
LeBron's too smart.
Kevin Love on IR.
Yeah, Kevin.
Still.
For his life. I don't know. Were you looking at my notes on this one, Pete, or what? Because I got Sexton right here, the kid from Alabama, the same thing. Nickname Young Bull, tenacious defensively. I mean, you're using the same words I had on my notes.
Is that some straight plagiarism?
What's going on over here? No, great points, man. I love that.
Awesome.
That nickname, and it is. I watched him in summer league, and I just love the way he gets into dudes. He's not afraid to. Pete's showing me his notes right here to make sure.
I swear, tenacious. That's funny.
That's what's up.
The same words.
But yeah, man, he's not afraid to jump into guys and cover them full court. And sometimes it doesn't work out. But I saw, so he'll bang on the floor and things like that. He's just. He's tenacious, man. He loves to play defense. He wants to win, and like Dan touched on with him, he's in a situation with no spacing. It's just tough, to get him really going. But I think once they get him, some spacing down there, I think it's going to be good. And the thing is as Dan touched on, the players he played with were kind of complaining about his court vision and things like that and whatnot. But I think once he picks that up, because his first step is actually pretty nasty. If you watch it, he gets past defenders quite a bit, but it is his passing after that, his court vision. That's, oh man, it's not nice right now. As I'm watching Sexton, it is pretty nasty. I agree with his teammates. His court vision isn't that nice, and I'm with you. It probably is spacing, but if we get him some spacing, I think this kid could be nice.
It's tough to listen to these scrubs complain about, like Colin said. If you're gonna complain about something, you want to go to the paper with something, complain about that rat tail. Like, get rid of the rat tail. And its full systems go at that point.
Well, dude,
I like that, man.
Dude, I thought Dan brought up a good point earlier when he was like, these guys are going from LeBron James, arguably one of the best passers in NBA history. What are they telling him? That's not how LeBron would have thrown it. Like, for real. Like, come on, man. Are you serious? He's a 20-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Jeez, they were spoiled, man.
Yeah, it makes it tough. I mean, I don't think they have the right to complain. I'm 100% with that. Like, what are these kids doing, right? I mean, none of these guys are balling out of control. Like, come on.
joke.
But I do agree with some of the things that they said, his playmaking. But, I mean, he's a rookie. He's got no
you gotta give
space.
chances.
He's playing with dudes. It's like, oh, man. Let's jump to number 9. We got the New York Knicks.
All right. That's leading off with you, brother.
Yeah, that's right. Number 9,
got?
leading off with myself here. I went with the guy that you guys already got off the board, man. I love Shea here. As Dan talked about, I loved watching him and Kyle go after the whole Duke and Kentucky thing. That thing had me cracking up. But Dan makes some great points, man. If you look at Duke versus Kentucky players, I think the Kentucky players definitely dominate it. And I like Shea here, man. I like Shea in New York. I've liked watching him play. He's I think 6'11" wingspan. He's 6'6" for a point guard. So I love his length there. One thing I think maybe I'm a little biased, but watching Dame and CJ in Portland with no length defensively, it's like God. And I talked about with you guys before. It's like when I watch Sean Livingston and guys like that come in with the length, they just shoot over him. So maybe I'm like, I just want to see some length in the backcourt at some point, and I like what Shea can do here. He's good defensively, and when I watch him, he just seems smooth. Like, he seems mature. Maybe it's a Kentucky thing, but he seems mature for a rookie. He doesn't seem like the Colin Sexton, and obviously it's some of the guys he's playing with, but he doesn't seem quite out of control. Like, I don't know what to do. He just seems confident with the ball, and so I like him here, man. I like what he can do with that team.
I like that. That was good.
Who do we got next, Pete?
Yeah, I'm up. Let's
New
see.
York.
All right, so for the Knicks, I just feel like, they're a joke. They're dysfunctional, blah, 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 whatever. They need to go a player, and I'm going off board here a little bit. But I'm reaching. All right?
Who you got?
His name is Kevin Huerter, okay? Now, the reason why I think he's the perfect fit for New York, he's got a strong jump shot. He's got good passing skills. Doesn't need the ball in his hands. It's just perfect. That's the most attractive player. Don't give me these, I don't want someone that can't space the floor, because we're trying to attract superstars here. That's what New York needs to do. That's their only angle. So, if you got Porzingis, you got, Huerter, and you got some floor spacing to let someone like KD cook or Kyrie cook, that's going to be huge. Guys that don't want the ball all the time, don't need the ball in their hands. I just feel like this kid's a perfect fit. He's shooting 39% from 3. He's got a beautiful 3-point percentage. Nice soft touching, very good passing skills. I think this kid would be a beautiful
Be honest
pick
with
there.
me. You're just setting New York up for KD, right?
Is
that what you just told me?
You're probably right. I feel like I guess I'm dreaming of the scenario that I wish would have happened for KD. Not all these non-floor spacing.
He just wants New York to space. KD can go there. No, I love it.
So
I love it.
Drop
though.
38 a game, because that's
love
what
it.
he would do if he had the 5-out system.
DZ, who you got, my man?
Just real quick on the Gilgeous-Alexander. I like him and Tulakina locking people down. With Durant like that, with KD like that, so 2 guards just locking it down on the perimeter.
Yeah.
Anyways, look at the Knicks. This is obviously another throwaway season here. The Unicorn hasn't played a game this year. Kevin Knox, their original pick, is playing mightily inefficient for him right now. So I'm going with the guy who was going to be the first overall pick in this draft if it wasn't for some back injuries and stuff like that. Michael Porter Jr. right here. Look, I think the Knicks, they can take a gamble like this. Like most teams can't, like a Cleveland can't, because they can attract free agents to New York. People want to play in New York. People do not want to play in Cleveland. I like Michael Porter here. I like the upside. And then you get him and the Unicorn on the perimeter, tall, lanky. That's scary right there.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And
That's a great point.
You get probably the best chance at the number 1 overall pick.
And you
right?
and then you get KD, and it's over.
Yeah, no, that's a...
I like that scenario almost better than mine, man. I'm switching this around. You sold me.
No, that's a great point. All right, we're through 9. We're on to number 10, the last one of the day for us, the Philadelphia 76ers. DZ, we'll round it back with you. Who do you got here, my man?
Hey, Pete, you thought you were reaching. Well, you didn't reach that much with me and Corey here, because I went Kevin Huerter right here. Look, I mean, hey, Philly, listen. And real quick, interesting thing about them. We all know Brian Colangelo got fired right before the draft. Did you guys know who they named interim GM? Who pretty much ran this draft? Brett Brown, the coach. So what are you doing trading for Zaire Smith, who hasn't even played a game this year? Trying to channel your inner Danny Ainge, trying to get a first-round pick from 3 years from now. Why don't you help yourself now? Because you might not make it through this playoffs, okay? You need a shooter. You need someone to stretch that floor. You got Ben Simmons, who's a strictly inside point guard, okay? You got and so this Herter guy, he comes in, not impressive numbers, not crazy good numbers, but 39% from the three-point line, tall, lanky guy, and one big thing, Chauncey Billups comped him to a young Mike Miller. You guys trying to tell me that Mike Miller, a young Mike Miller, can't help that Philadelphia 76ers make a nice playoff push here?
I like that.
I like that too.
Oh, that's a great point, DZ. And the funny thing is, I think great minds think alike on this. We all picked this kid. I picked Herter at 10 as well for Philly.
It's crazy.
And we all thought we were
It's
reaching.
crazy.
We all thought we were reaching on this. When I put him in, I'm like, man, I'm going to be the only guy to have this guy. All these guys are laughing me out of the room, coming up with some crazy facts why I'm retarded, and they probably felt the same way. I like him here, too. Obviously, as DZ talked about, Philly needs shooters. We constantly talk about this, and you hear it all over the place with Ben Simmons not being able to shoot. We talk about it on quite a few podcasts here. They need some more guys besides just JJ that can stretch the floor. And yeah, the dudes we talked about, I think it was our first or second podcast that were knocking down threes for him. We're like, what? Who are these guys, and why are they the ones that are shooting threes? And I think Kevin Herter would be a great fit here for Philly. That playoff kid that you need to knock down some big shots. I like that Miller. I like that comparison. That's sweet.
And he's crappy enough and kind of, white enough for Minnesota not to ask for him back in the Jimmy Butler trade. So it's perfect.
Right?
It's perfect. They don't want him.
That's true.
I like that.
All right.
Who'd you have?
For me, I got, okay. So I think I like Knox. And Dan is right. He's had a pretty ugly year. But a lot of that I feel is he's being, like he said with Trae Young, he's being asked to do too much. They're trying to get him to be a slasher, a shooter, a playmaker. They want him to handle the ball, which, that could be great. But over in Philly, he wouldn't be asked to do all those things. He could focus on hitting the corner three ball, doing the cutting when he needs to do it. And I feel like the percentages would be a lot better playing on a team like that. Put him next to JJ Redick, and you got the shooting, you got the defense. I like that kid a lot. So, I got Knox there.
I like that. It's a good point. He brings a little bit of what they lost in Rodney Covington a little bit.
Exactly.
And he's a Kentucky player. It's a win.
That's good. That's good.
That's awesome. Wow, fellas, that was a lot of fun, man. I think great minds think alike on a lot of things, but we also all brought some different players in different spots that I really liked, man. I really liked hearing your guys' opinions on this. This was a super fun pod, man. If anybody out there that's listening that has different opinions, or you think guys should have gone somewhere else, give us a call. I'm going to give you our number one more time: 360-356-1699. Leave us a message. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on Instagram. As always, we got one Limitless Range, limitlessrangepodcast.com. However you want to get to us, man. You want to comment on our YouTube channel, whatever you want to do. Get at us, let us know what you thought about our picks. Give us some different stuff. DZ, man, we really appreciate you showing up. I'm not going to lie, dude. I feel like DZ killed it. I feel like the three of us gelled really well together, and we appreciate you taking the time and driving out here to join us.
I appreciate you guys having me on. And just one more thing, just to help plug the show. Doug set up a great Facebook page. I think we need to get
that's a great point.
Little bit of a community going on there, and we can all talk on there. We can all debate.
Yeah, I love
That's
that.
a great point.
So,
look us up on Facebook. That's a great point, DZ. Doug, as always, man, behind the scenes, producer Dougie Fresh. We didn't have him on the mic today, but I don't know why everyone's always laughing at this. But dude, he does so much for us. I can't give this kid enough props for us, man. He does all the back end stuff, gets us on all the things, Twitter, all that stuff. So hit us up, man, on all those things, and we appreciate it. And as always, Rip City.
Boo.